Do you feel guilty when you're not being productive? Does peace feel dangerous? Can you read a room in 3 seconds but have no idea what you actually need? These aren't personality quirks. They're signs you were parentified, forced to be the adult before you knew how to be a child. And they're why you still can't rest.
Sign 1. You feel guilty when you're not being productive. Sitting still feels wrong. Watching TV without multitasking feels wasteful. Taking a day off feels selfish. You've internalized the belief that your worth comes from what you produce, not from who you are. This started when your value in the family was based on what you could do for others. The child who cooked dinner got attention. The one who mediated fights kept peace. The one who worked to help pay bills was so mature. Rest wasn't allowed then, so it doesn't feel allowed now.
Sign 2. Peace feels dangerous. When things are calm, you're waiting for disaster. When life is good, you're bracing for the other shoe to drop. Happiness feels like a trick, like you're being set up for devastation. Because in your childhood, calm meant the storm was coming. Your parents' good mood would turn without warning. The quiet house meant someone was about to explode. You learned that peace was just the pause before chaos. Your nervous system never unlearned that pattern. So now, even when you're safe, your body thinks it's not.
Sign 3. You monitor everyone's emotions constantly. You walk into a room and immediately know who's upset, who's about to fight, who needs managing. You can read micro-expressions like a language. You're the emotional thermostat of every space you enter. This is hypervigilance. As a child, your safety depended on reading the adult's moods. Is mom okay? Is dad gonna snap? What do I need to do to keep everyone stable? You became brilliant at it, but that skill came at a cost. You're never off duty. You're always scanning, always managing, always responsible for emotions that were never yours to carry.
Sign 4. Asking for help feels impossible. You'll do everything yourself, even when you're drowning. You'll push through exhaustion, illness, burnout, anything but ask someone to help carry the load. Because when you were a child, asking for help meant you were a burden. Your needs were inconvenient. Your struggles were dismissed. You learned that the only acceptable version of you was the self-sufficient one. So now, as an adult, needing anything feels like failing, and being helped feels like owing. You've forgotten that interdependence isn't weakness, it's human.
Sign 5. You still parent your own parents. You manage their emotions. You solve their problems. You're their therapist, their financial advisor, their mediator. The roles never reversed. You're still the adult, and they're still the child. This is the clearest sign of parentification. The relationship never corrected. You grew up, but you never got to stop being their parent. And every interaction reinforces the same dynamic that hurt you in the first place. Healthy families don't work this way. Children are allowed to become adults without still carrying their parents' emotional weight.
Sign 6. Children make you uncomfortable. Not because you dislike them, but because they're mirrors. Their neediness triggers you. Their innocence confuses you. Their ability to just play feels foreign. When you see a child being cared for, something in you aches. When you see a child being carefree, you don't remember ever feeling that way. And when you see a child being parentified, you recognize yourself, and it's unbearable. This discomfort isn't about the children, it's about the child you were, the one who never got to be a child. Seeing what you missed is a grief you haven't let yourself feel.
Sign 7. You don't know how to be of duty. There is no moment when you're not alert, not responsible, not managing something. Even on vacation, you're planning. Even in rest, you're monitoring. Even in sleep, you're half awake. Because from childhood, there was no one else to hold things together. If you stopped, everything fell apart. So you became the one who never stops, the one who holds it all. But here's what that child didn't know. It was never your job in the first place, and continuing to do it now doesn't change what happened then. It just means you're still living in survival mode when the crisis is over.
If you recognized yourself in multiple signs, you're not imagining it. This is parentification, a form of developmental trauma where children are forced to take on adult emotional or practical responsibilities before they're ready. It creates adults who are hyper-responsible, hyper-vigilant, and unable to rest, who feel guilty for having needs, who monitor everyone's emotions, who are still, decades later, on duty. But here's what you need to know. This wasn't your fault. The child who stepped up was brilliant at survival. They did what they had to do. But the adult doesn't need those same defenses anymore. You're allowed to rest now. You're allowed to need things. You're allowed to not be responsible for everyone's emotions. You're allowed to finally be off duty. The parentified child saved the family, but they don't have to save everyone forever, including you from yourself. It's time to let that child come home and let them finally rest.